Hello dear friends, I'm Violetta from Crafting with VioView. In this video tutorial I'm going to show you how to assemble the GAZANIA SPLENDOR blanket that is made with octagon motifs with square and triangular fillers. The pattern for this blanket can be purchased from my Ravelry store. The link is below this video. To join the motifs together, we're going to use flat slip stitch join, and the way we're going to join this blanket can also be used with any other octagon shaped blanket. And now let's get started. First we need to join octagons into long stripes following the vertical or horizontal line of the blanket. So we're going to join the first two octagon motifs, and to start with I would recommend using stitch markers, and we're going to place stitch markers into the first single crochet of this group of two single crochets into the front loop, okay, so into the first one, and on this corner we're going to place it into the second single crochet of this group of two single crochets, or first from this side, okay. So actually you're going to place stitch markers into the second single crochet of the group of two single crochets on this side, and into first single crochet of this group of two single crochets on this side, okay. So into the inner single crochets like this, so they will match. We need to mark these stitches so that you're sure that that your motifs didn't shift this way. And I usually don't use them, but I highly recommend doing that. Then we're going to grab your yarn that you're going to use for stitching these motifs together. You can use a contrast color yarn or the same yarn that you used for the last round. So we're going to start with a slip knot and a chain stitch. So each time you're starting to join new motifs together, you start with a slip knot and a chain stitch. This is very important for this type of joining motifs. Then we're going to start inserting the hook into the back loop of the stitch that you marked with the stitch markers, into the back loop of this single crochet. Insert the hook into this stitch, keep the yarn under the hook, and then insert the hook into the back loop of the stitch that you marked with the stitch marker on the left side motif, yarn over and pull through all the loops on the hook like this. The first stitch is done. Continue working into the back loop of the right octagon and then on the left octagon all the way until the end of the seam. So let's do it together. Hook into the back loop of the next stitch on the octagon to your right, and then into the back loop of the next stitch on the octagon to your left, yarn over, pull through all the loops, continue joining your two motifs together. Make sure that you don't skip any stitches. So here, and now you see how important it was to finish the rounds with the invisible stitch. So now you have all the back loops available for stitching into. Like right now I went over the join and it will not be visible after I join these two pieces together. You can also alternate by which stitch you're going to work into first. Like I always start with the right side. You can do right and then left and right and left, and this seam will be flatter if you alternate. But for this particular design I would like this seam to be raised a little bit. I want to add more texture, so I work always into the right octagon, yeah, and then into the left one. I just finished working with hexagon, so I say hexagon a lot. So like this, continue joining these two octagons together on one side, and the last stitch that you're going to join will be this first single crochet on this side and on this side. So if you didn't skip or miss any stitches, you will see that your last stitch is done into these 2 single crochets that you've marked with stitch markers. And now you're going to chain 1 and then 1 more chain 1 to fasten off and cut the yarn. And now you see that we have a chain stitch at the beginning of the seam right here and a chain stitch at the end of the seam. We're going to work into these stitches when we will join other pieces of this blanket. Okay, so now go on and continue joining all the pieces together. After you have joined octagons into strips, then join the strips between them using the same joining method. Now all the octagons have been joined, and we're going to insert the square motifs in between these octagons. I have placed stitch markers into all the single crochet stitches right after the seams, okay, into the front loops of these stitches. Make sure that you do not mark the stitch into which we already worked this seam, okay? So it's the single crochet right after, okay? Right after this seam, so the second single crochet of this group of 2 single crochets. So I marked all of them, and on the square I only used 1 stitch marker. I've marked the second chain stitch of the chain 2 space in one of the corners. You can place stitch markers into every second chain stitch. I'm out. I don't have any more stitch markers. 1 will be enough for me. Okay, and in this join we are not going to start with a slip knot. We're going to start with inserting the hook right into the, I don't know if you can see. Yes, you can. So insert the hook into the back loop of this first single crochet that you've marked with the stitch marker on the octagon. Then insert the hook into the second chain stitch of this chain 2 space, and then grab your yarn and pull it through both of these loops. Okay, make sure that you have this yarn tail long enough for weaving it after you've done. So then we're going to continue. Hook into the next single crochet stitch, into the back loop of the next single crochet stitch on the octagon, and then into the back loop of the next single crochet on the square, yarn over and pull through all the loops, and continue joining these 2 motifs together all the way until the next seam. So make sure that this seam is not too tight. Okay, you don't want it to pull on your blanket like this. Continue joining these 2 motifs all the way until the end, until you join the last chain stitch. So 2 more stitches, last 2 single crochets together. Now the last single crochet, and here the first chain stitch. Okay, work into the back loop of the chain stitch, yarn over, pull through all the loops. And a little bit tricky thing here, you remember we left a chain stitch right here because we've used this kind of join. Now we have this extra stitch and we're going to work into it. So we're going to place the yarn tail of this seam like this. You see, this is the stitch, the chain stitch into which we're going to work. So keep the loop on the hook like this, insert into this chain stitch, yarn over and pull through both of these loops. So this way we have joined it to this stitch, and this slip knot that we have here will make sure that it will not unravel. And then we continue joining the sides as if nothing happened. Okay, So hook into the single crochet on the octagon and into the second chain stitch on the square. Now yarn over and join them, and continue joining the sides all the way until the next corner, where you're gonna work into the chain stitch. When you work into the chain stitch, you're not joining it to the square, you're just making a stitch into that chain stitch, okay? Just like securing it there. We're gonna get to the next seam now. I'm gonna show it to you again. I love joining seams using this kind of flat slip stitch. It adds more texture to your blanket or whatever you're making. It's very, very easy. I have to turn like this and continue joining the sides of the octagon and the square. The number of stitches on each side of the octagon and the square is exactly the same. So the last single crochet, the first chain stitch of the corner. Now I will turn again. My whole blanket is already assembled, so it's not easy to manipulate it here on the table. So we're going through this seam. Place your yarn under the yarn tail, under the seam, insert the hook into the chain stitch, yarn over and pull through all the loops, and then continue joining the next octagon to the square. So hook into the single crochet on the octagon and into the chain stitch, into the back loop of the chain stitch on the square, okay? And like this, continue joining the seam all the way around the square, and we're gonna close it with an invisible join right here, and I'm gonna show you how to do that. So I'm almost done, and the last two stitches are being joined. It's a little bit tricky here, but I know you can do it. So the last single crochet on the octagon is being joined with the first first chain stitch of the corner of the square, like this, and one more chain stitch we have here with this chain. Okay, we're gonna work into this chain stitch, join, okay, and now let me take this stitch marker from here. Now we're going to cut the yarn, pull this yarn out of this loop. Also, you can go ahead and pull this yarn tail onto the back side of the blanket, like this. Now thread this thread into your tapestry needle. So let's do it. And now we're going to, you see, this was the first stitch that we created at the beginning of this whole seam, okay? So we're going to put the hook right under these two loops that create this kind of heart shape or V shape. Pull the yarn through, and then go ahead and put the needle into the last stitch that you had here, like this. Pull it onto the back of the blanket, like this. And you see now the join is absolutely invisible. It's just a continuous line of chain stitches, or that looks like chain stitches or V stitches. And I'm going to grab this yarn, make a knot with the yarn tail from the beginning of the seam, and then weave this yarn tail into the back of the seams of the of the stitches, like this, back and forth a little bit to prevent unraveling. And I will do the same with all the yarn tails. And let me show you. These are the yarn tails. Sorry. So these are the yarn tails from the seams that that were made when we joined the octagons together. And if you pull on them, so you need to pull on them to bring the slip knot onto the back of onto the wrong side of the blanket, okay? And then weave in the ends. And so you will see that on the correct side of your blanket, these joints will be perfect, okay? And you know they will never unravel because those slip knots are keeping them together, okay? So now continue joining your blanket. To join the triangular shape here, you will use the same method, and then we're going to make the border for the blanket. So this video tutorial is on how to join the triangle shape to the octagons that have already been joined. Please disregard that these two octagon motifs are of different colorways. I've recorded this video after I finished the whole blanket, so I'm just creating a new little piece for you, just to show you this technique. So you've already seen how to join the sides and also how to join the squares in between the octagons. Now I'm going to show you how to do the triangles and also how to work along the border after these octagons and triangles have been joined. So we're going to start with a slip knot on the hook and a chain stitch. Then insert the hook into the second single crochet that you see here from the group of the two single crochets into this one. Normally you will mark it with a stitch marker. Then hook into the third chain of the beginning chain 3 on the triangle. Join the stitches together. Continue joining the two seams all the way until the corner. So this technique is exactly the same as when you join the squares. I just want to go over it again so that there is no confusions or questions. It's always better to see it one more time with your own eyes. So joining the triangle to the octagon, to the side of the octagon, all the way until the first chain stitch. So the first chain stitch is joined. Then I'm gonna grab the yarn tail from the joining seams between the octagons, insert the hook into the chain stitch, pull a loop through it, then put it under the square like this and continue joining the next sides of the octagon and the triangle. Like this, and don't forget, this seam should not be tight, okay? It should not be squishing or pulling on your motifs. Like this. And the last two stitches. The last two stitches have been joined, so make a chain stitch and one more to fasten off, cut the yarn and pull it out of the loop like this. Okay, so this is what we got. We have one chain stitch right here and we have one chain stitch right here, and we'll be working into these stitches when we'll be working along this border. And I'm going to show you how we're gonna work on these stitches. It seems to be quite complicated, so let's go over it. Now all the triangular motifs are joined to the octagons, and I've woven all the ends in, but I left the yarn ends of the seam right here so that we can clearly see the chain stitches into which we will be working into. So for this blanket, I've designed a pretty border like this. I don't have a video tutorial for it, but you can find detailed instructions in the pattern that you can purchase in my store. So I just want to show you one tricky part is working on this side of the triangles, because it's very important that we have the exact number of stitches right here so that the border design fits your blanket. Okay, so let me show you how to do that. So grab your yarn, the same yarn color. Well, you can work with any color you want. I use the same yarn color as the joining seam, as the last round of all the motifs. So normally it's easy to work, the instructions on how to work on octagon sides are easy. Just work a single crochet into the back loops of each of the single crochet below. So let me work some of those single crochets just to have a continuous line of stitches like this. Oops. So the last stitches on the octagon. So the first single, so now I worked into the first single crochet of the group of 2 single crochets in the corner. Then do not work into the stitch into which you already worked, okay, when you join the seam. So you don't need to add any extra stitches there, okay? So do not confuse it for the stitch, okay? It's already taken, it's not vacant. Then work into the chain stitch of the seam, and we're going to work 2 single crochets into each double crochet, or a single crochet into each single crochet. Okay, and I'm going to work over this yarn tail, or you can just skip it and then weave it in. Okay, weave it in. So 2 single crochets around the first double crochet, which is back post double crochet, then a single crochet into the single crochet from the round 5, then 2 single crochets into the double crochets from round 4, single crochet into the single crochet from round 3. Actually, I need to work into it like this. Then a single crochet into the single crochet from round, let me enlarge this, it's a little bit tight. After you weave in the ends, actually the stitches might be a little bit tight or not easy to find. So work a single crochet into the single crochet from round 2. Then 2 double crochets on this double crochet from round 1. Then single crochet into the magic ring. Oh, I shouldn't have tightened it so much. So single crochet into the magic ring. Yeah, I've tightened it a little bit too much. Let me try to enlarge it. Then 2 double crochet into the next double crochet of round 2, sorry, the first round. Then single crochet into the first single crochet from the second round, single crochet into the single crochet from the third round, 2 single crochets around the double crochet from the 4th round, single crochet into the first single crochet of the 5th round, then 2 single crochets around the double crochet from the 6th round. So this is how we worked along the edge of the triangle. Okay. Then work into the chain stitch of the joining seam. Then place the yarn tail along the edge. Here work into the second single crochet of the group of 2 single crochets. The first single crochet is already taken into the seam, so work into the second single crochet and continue working single crochets into the back loops of the octagon side until the end and until you hit the next seam line and then the triangle. And so like this, work all the way around the blanket. And for the border design, I don't think I will make a video tutorial for it. I've made a pretty detailed photo tutorial, so please check it in the pattern. And as I said, please share your blankets, your creations. I'm very curious to see. My tester has done a very great job with colors, so I really like to see how other people interpret my designs using their own creativity with colors and maybe other details. Thank you very much for watching this video tutorial. Happy crocheting!
I really hope that you liked my video tutorial. If you liked it, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel. Please also join my Facebook group. You can ask me questions about crochet there. Also follow me on Instagram to see my newest designs and join my blog for the newest pattern releases and special discounts. Happy crocheting!